Ellerbee is an institution. The public relations maverick has worked with and guided the careers of icons and ingenues, legends and leading actors, and he has built a legacy that continues to flourish decades after he began. The Newark, New Jersey native who began his stellar career working in the fashion industry, designing, styling, and hosting shows as fundraisers to combat the global issue of HIV/AIDS, soon found himself in the world of publicity and artist relations, working with the late, great James Mtume, super producer and jazz impresario. He oversaw the stable of artists on the Music Greats Entertainment Company roster, and soon became the talk of the industry because of his meticulous sense of style and pristine attention to detail. In 1985, Ellerbee founded Double Exposure Public Relations, working with artists and record labels to champion the careers of such luminaries as Michael Jackson, Lionel Richie, Roberta Flack, and reggae giants like Shabba Ranks and Patra. Ellerbee moves and motivates those who work with him to see themselves in all their true excellence. He is a champion of talent who has used his immeasurable gifts to change the landscape of music, television, and entertainment. Angelo Ellerbee is the Sultan of Swag, and his capacity to transform and translate the culture has made him an industry giant for decades, and he's still standing. That's what institutions do.
Good afternoon, and welcome back to My Harlem Portrait, the show that aims at shedding the light on the fundamental contribution of African Americans to the building of this country and on Black excellence. To represent Black excellence in the utmost way, we have a very special guest today, someone who's been in the media and representing artist business for more than 50 years. He's a veteran media leader, is the founder and CEO of Double Exposure and AE Artist Development Program. We have with us Mr. Angelo Ellerbee.
What a pleasure. What an introduction. Thank you so very much. It's my pleasure. It's all my pleasure. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you so much for giving me your time. I know you are super busy because you just came out with a 4th book and you have very soon a meet and greet for this book.
Yes.
So we are going to talk about that.
Okay, fine.
All right. But we want to start with your career because you have helped build in this 50+ year the career and launch and promote the careers and legacies of icons like 2 times Grammy Award winner James Mtume.
Mtume, yes.
Mtume, Broadway legend Melba Moore, the king of pop Michael Jackson, DIONNE Warwick, I mean, just to name a few.
Yes.
What made you decide, or what prompted you to get into this business, which is really challenging because you were in the fashion business before, right? Which is not challenging.
The story goes is that I owe so much to James Mtume and to his beautiful, wonderful, warm, sincere wife, Camille Mtume. I did fashions, as you mentioned, and I used to do a lot of my fundraising shows in the city of Newark. I call it the greatest city in the world because that's where I was born and raised. Mm-hmm. And Camille used to come to my fashion shows. And she came backstage one day and she said to me, "My name is Camille Mtume, and I'm a designer." I said, "Oh, it's a pleasure meeting you." She said, "I wanted to talk to you about my husband." And she said, "Mtume," and I didn't know who Mtume was. And somebody turned around and said to me, "He has the biggest record in the country now." And so I go, "Oh, yeah, Mtume, right?" So she asked me if I would do the album cover for You, Me, and He. And of course I said yes. I fell romantically in love with her friendship. She's one of the warmest people that I've ever met in my life. I love her so very much. And we just became good friends, like brothers and sisters. We shared everything. And so Mtume came to me once and he says, "If you can do all this stuff for Camille, why don't you do it for me?" I said, "I don't know anything about the music industry." He said, "Well, I think it's about time you learned something." And so for about 6 or 7 years, I went underneath the tutelage of James M. Tumay. And I believe that I graduated from the best university in Tumay School of Hard Knocks and Learning, where he taught me everything that I needed to know about the music industry. And he was a very crafty man. He would send me over to Sony, to Epic. That's where he was signed to. And he had a production deal with several artists. And every day he would send me there at the times that it was appropriate for me to go to these meetings. And I said, and Tumay, I feel so silly going to these meetings because I knew nothing of what to say. But he was one that would coach you each and every day that I would come from these meetings. He would sit me in his yellow room, so on the second floor of his house, and he would ask me all the questions that they asked of me.
Wow.
And yeah, and then he would say, this is how I want you to answer for the future. So this went on for like 9 months. And then finally, I got it. I got it. And so I started to oversee, supervise, and or manage his roster of talent and him as well. And the rest of it is history. I think one day he called me into his yellow room. That was like the principal's room, where you go get spanking or you go get beat up. And he said to me, he says, you know, I got a major motion picture that I'm going to be doing the soundtrack for. Oh, I said, oh, congratulations. He said, I don't know what you're congratulating me for. Is you doing it? He says, you're going to do the publicity for it.
Wow.
And I go, what are you talking about? So he reached into his pocket and he gave me $100. You got to remember, this was in the 80s and early 90s, and computers were non-existent. At least for me, it was non-existent. And he gave me the $100. He says, I want you to go buy newspapers, buy 100 of them. And I want you to focus into music, focus into entertainment. So, I mean, again, there's no computer. So I had to take a list, write up my list. Nobody was giving you a press list. So you create your own press list. And I called this lady from the New York Times. And this lady had the worst cold, and she was just rude on top of it. She, you know, cold calling is the person that has to do cold calling. I take my jacket and my hat off to them because it can be really hurtful. Yeah. So this lady gave me enough of time to convey to her where I was and what I was trying to do with my client, James M. Tumay. I went into, oh, he's a 2-time Grammy Award. And she just, she's just coughing through the whole conversation. But I was able to get her first and last name and the address for the New York Times. So I got into the car and I rode down the street and I went to the drugstore. And I put 40 packs of cough drops. I drove a little bit further and I went to the gift box. I got a gift box. Then I went to Federal Express and I overnighted it to her. The next day she called me up. She said, oh, young man, you didn't have to do that. I said, no, I wanted to do it. 4 days later, it was the New York Times full-page spread on James M. Tumay.
Wow.
So you don't take the negative. You do take the negative and you turn it into a positive. I don't care how you speak. At the end of the day, it's the end result of what you get from the conversation. And that's how publicity was born that's how it was born for me. It wasn't Tumay that gave me my brass knuckles and the nerve. As he said to me before he passed away, Angelo, you are deliciously arrogant. And I go, what is that about? And then he went to define arrogance and why I was deliciously arrogant. He said, I allowed you into my family, into my business because you are cocky, you're strong, and you're confident. He says, that's what it takes to run a business. That's what it takes to be a manager. That's what it takes to be who you are. And I've always lived with the understanding that I can be no more than who I am. And I have to present that back to the world. This is me, and I'm okay. I have learned to find out the importance of falling romantically in love with myself. I love me some Angelo Ellerbee. And I think when I'm able to love me, I'm able to love others. I'm able to give up to others. I'm able to share others. And all of my wisdom, all of my trials and my tribulations, I call them experiences that somebody else can learn from. And so that's how I got involved, and then, at the end of the day, I built my business from my mother's basement of my mother's house.
Wow.
I went into the garage and I got one of our old dining room tables, put it down in the basement. Back in that day and time, we had what was called a teen phone. And it was one line. And with that one line, I would just go down there, make my phone calls, da, 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 da. And then I had this one young lady working with me, Kathy, I will never forget her. She manned the office, the basement office, while I went to work at Chrysalis Records. And so I was there as their director of urban publicity. And from there, I went, that's when I opened my office on 7th Avenue. And I was on 7th Avenue for some 27 years.
Wow.
With 22 employees. And that's when the roller coaster was the roller coaster. Everything in the world was happening. I know that you did an intro as to some of the people that I represented and still represent, but it's just a slew of others. I think my company has, my God, represented some 6,000 artists over the 50 years of being in business. From Beverly Sills, which is opera, to Karen Clark Shears, which is gospel, to Shabba Ranks, which is reggae, and it goes on and on and on and on. I'm very, very appreciative. And one of the reasons that I can tell this story, and I've told this story so much, is because mentorship, if it wasn't for Mtume mentoring me, educating me, providing me with the wherewithals to enter into business, I ask myself the question every day, where would I be? So this book, Before I Let You Go, is really about mentorships. It's about giving back to your community. It's about aiding and assisting not just the young. This book, okay, while the book is a template to my life, it also speaks volume to the homeless, the despaired, the drug addicts, the HIV positive, the LGBTQ community. And it goes on. It's not so much to focus on the great people that I've represented over the years, but I do use these people, these artists, to be representative of their trials, their tribulations, and their success. I give examples in this book of what they had to go through and how to get through, and how we had to work together to make the magic happen. So mentorship, and particularly in this very crazy, dismal world that we live in today, it is so important that we take our children and we tell our children, I love you, I believe in you, I want the best for you. These are the things, from 7 years old to 13 years old, my mother would come into my room each morning, and she always said this thing about her last born being me. And she would say, did I tell you the day that I love you? And I said, no, Mama, you didn't, but I want to tell you that I love you. And this went on forever. This went on until the week that my mom passed. She would always say, I love you. And our young people today, they need that fuel of energy. And they need to know that people care about them. I think when you start to talk about the percentages of our disadvantaged youth, it's like single parent homes. Sometimes it's not parents in homes at all. And then it's young parents that are not able to teach and educate their kids because they're not following through on the legacy.
Yeah.
There's no grandmother, no great grandmother. These are all things that transcend to what should be a parent. How to take care of your children, how to love your children. So that's really what the book is really centered. It's centered around give back. I want people to give back. Life is too short for us to dislike, hate. Why? So I say that's wasted energy. And so what you need to do is uplift each other. and particularly in Black and brown communities, it is so very important that we give each other all the opportunity and the missed opportunities that we missed out on for so many years. And that's before I let you go. People have been asking me, oh, Angelo, you're not dying, are you? No, I'm not dying. But I do believe that it's important that you give, and give. Because God gives us so many chances in life. And we're not, I'm sorry, we're not judge or jury. So we should be able to fall down. But I want to ask the question to those people who are falling down. Why did you fall down? How did you fall down? And then the other question is how you're going to get back up.
Wow.
Yeah.
This book, on what you're saying now,
Yes,
is much more than what one would think. It's going deep into the roots of success and failure.
Yes.
Analyze them and get the answers for how not to fail or how to rebuild yourself once you fail.
Exactly.
Wow.
You know, it's so many Black and brown people that get incarcerated and they go to jail, they spend their time, they do their time, they get educated but when they get out of jail, it's very hard for them to get a job. And so I talk about that in my book, about preparing yourself for success. And I don't care if you had a fourth grade education, as graduated from Yale University. There's trials and there's tribulations. And everyone deserves a chance to do it all over again. But we have to stop closing our eyes to that person that is incarcerated. We all go to church, whatever your religion is, we go to church. Why? Because we all sinners. That's why we go to church. We want forgiveness, right? And so I believe that every person deserves to be forgiven. And I think that God has given us all so many chances at life. Why can't they get the chance? Everybody should get a chance at living life. All I say to people, when you get these chances, know where these chances come from and just say thank you.
Listen, thank you so much, because this is really incredible. Your career has been amazing. And the fact that you decide that this is what you want to write about from that angle, that point of view, I think speaks a lot for your generosity.
Thank you.
And your wanting always to give back to people. And this is very important, because I think that especially in this world we are today, with the political situation we are in today, where someone who should never have been there before is trying to get back into the White House, in the ways doing it, saying, vote this time, you will never vote again, you don't need to vote anymore, and so on and so on. I mean, this is so crazy, crazy.
And that is, you know what that is? That is what we as Black and brown people have gone through for 200, 300 years. We have been pillaged, robbed, raped, and just used. So my thing is, if God grants me this life that he's granted me, I can't take life with me when I'm dead. So what I need to do is give it back now. I need to give it back now. And we all need to start giving it back, because we work day and night, night and day, for all of the materialistic things in life, right? But you can't take nothing with you. So why won't you just give it freely? Conversation. Somebody that is going through whatever their problems are. Conversation aids and it cures and it helps them to the next level of their life. All anybody wants to do is be encouraged.
Yeah.
People need to be encouraged in this time, in this storm of life. People need to be encouraged. They need to be encouraged. And if I do nothing no more, is that I want to be able to encourage people that I know and people that I don't know. And I think that's the reason for the book.
Yeah.
I really want to encourage people. You know what? It's like, you just got to try. You just got to try. And if you fall down, you understand why you fell down and how you're going to get, just try. Try to be the great. Try to be the greater. Try to be the greatest that you can possibly be. And only you have control of that. And
Yeah.
I think that's the morsel of my book. Don't give up. The same energy that it takes for you to give up is the same energy it takes for you to stay in the race. And it ain't always important about winning every race. As long as you stay in the race, you gotta win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit, some anecdotes that you have in your amazing career, those moments of those artists that you promoted that you consider pivotal, the moment in which you thought, okay, this is a different chapter in my life. And you talked about the movie before. You didn't mention what the movie was, but the movie was Native Son.
Yeah, it was. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like you.
That's one of the first books I read.
Really?
Yes. And that's one of the books that made me think, I need to go to Harlem. I need to go to America and see what's going on.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And I had the pleasures of working, and Tume introduced me to James Baldwin. And I was so amazed, so in wonderland, because this man was just incredible. I thought Mtume was incredible, and he is incredible. He's beyond incredible. But when I sat and I spoke to Mr. Baldwin, there was a surge of energy. There was a surge of being very relaxed, but yet full of so much energy and so much knowledge. I sat there one day, we were in rehearsals at the Apollo, and I was in awe for a whole day. And he looked at me, he said, "What did you say your name was?" I said, "It's Angelo." He said, "Close your mouth." And I said, "Okay, sir, I'm closing my mouth," because I was that much in
I
awe of this
know.
man. Yeah. You know, the thing for me is you can read books by someone, but when you go and meet them and you have conversations with them and the intellect is breathtaking,
Absolutely.
you go in awe. And I went in awe of them. Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful. So in terms of movies, you know, I managed DMX for 7 years. And so he did a series of movies. He had an 8 motion picture deal. So I did X's Wounds with him. I did Never Die Alone with him. I think we did Belly together. It was, I'm missing some. So I either I even took on the job of being a music supervisor in movies, a
Wow.
producer, an associate producer. So again, and I'm sorry for being so redundant and talking about Ntume, but that first movie allowed me for the second movie and the third movie and the fourth movie. But in all, his tutelage, his training allowed me to be me. And I tell people, I love me so much. There's nothing in life that I ever want to change. Why do I want to change something? I'm nowhere near perfect. And I would run from someone that told me they was perfect, but I'm happy within my own skin.
And
And
that's
my sister, my sister always told me, my older sister Rose always told me, I want you to be confident. I don't care anything about life or lifestyles or whatever. I just want you to be confident and I want you to walk with respect for yourself. And that's something that I've done all my life.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
help others to do that. And
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I do.
now in 2024 alone, you have walked into the Rock and Roll Walk of Fame 3 musical giants. Kool and the Gang, DIONNE Warwick, and Mary J. Blige.
Yeah.
How does it feel to have your artist being gifted and helped by you to get such an achievement?
Well, you know, I'm going to be so very honest with you. These are their honors. These are not my honors. I share in it because I represent them. But I can only tell you that Robert Cool Bell and Kool and the Gang and DIONNE Warwick and Mary J. Blige, they did the work.
Oh,
They
yes.
did the work. You know, it's called staying power. It's staying relevant. You know, I can't take their fame and I can't take that credit. But what I will say is that I've always been very supportive of all three. I've endured with what needed to be endured. I progressively move forward with life. I let everybody shine where they need to shine. And this is their moment for them to shine. And I applaud all three of them.
Fantastic. And there are three artists that I absolutely adore. And you know, DIONNE Warwick is one of the most famous American artists in Italy because she participated many times at together with Louis Armstrong.
Yes.
She participated in the Festival di Sanremo, which is our contest, most famous festival for music, which goes on national TV every year. So
Yeah.
she's very, very well known in Italy.
She just came back from a festival, jazz festival. She went to England, Switzerland, and I think Australia.
Wow.
She's the most, at 84 years old, this lady is the most remarkable individual. I asked her, I said, do you have a battery in your back? How do you do all of this? Because, you know, I'm sitting here talking to her on the phone, thinking that she's home, and she was home. 8 hours later, I call her up and I said, oh, what you doing today, girl? And she said, well, I'm in England. And I go, you where? She called me yesterday. I said, so I'm not going to ask you where you are. She said, believe it or not, I just walked through the door from Atlanta. I don't know how she does it, but I
Wow.
love her so much. I love her so much. I love all of them so much.
They're wonderful, all of them. You also work with young titans and you help them build and broaden their brands. Tell us a little bit about your artist development program.
Well, you know, I believe in education, always have. And I truly want people to understand the importance of the business of music. And the business of music starts out with diction and speech and mannerisms and choreography, and it goes down the list. So I created very much in the same realm of Berry Gordy. Berry Gordy was wondering why his artist was not receiving the kind of international acclaim. You know, when you're in Rome, you do what Romans do. When you're in America, you follow an American custom. But he was very puzzled to want to find out why his music was not being played internationally.
Wow.
So Black music was always looked at as beach music. It was only played on Black radio stations. And he wanted to know why. So what he did is poured into his artists, teaching them makeup and hair and diction and speech and mannerisms and clothes and how to walk, how to talk. These were the things that were missing out. You know, when people think that you get old with customs, no, customs don't get old, you get old, right? We follow the custom, right? So he took it upon himself to create this artist development program. And I thought, would it be great for me to try to develop the artist from my standpoint? And so I created a 24-week artist development program. And I dealt with some of the more important things for me, like taxation. A lot of our artists believe that they don't have to pay taxes. And that's where a lot of them get railroaded into filing bankruptcy or being totally out. So I had an accountant, come in for classes to teach them about doing their own taxes, how to structure it all. Then for diction and speech, I brought in an expert so that he can teach them diction and speech. So when they go to the podiums at award shows, they have a they have a vocal ability to control on the English language, choreography for their shows, picking out the right clothes. All those things became very important because that means that you're pouring into yourself. I don't necessarily believe that a young artist should really go into seeking for management initially. I think that a young artist need to know what a manager's job is before you seek. I believe in courtships. I believe in engagements, but I want to hold off on that marriage. Because when you're courting someone and you're engaging with someone, there's not necessarily a contractual understanding. You're paying them for whatever the work he or she does for you. But when you get into the marriage, that means you have entered into a contractual understanding. He or she is going to get a percentage of your money, do or die. And depending on the structure of the agreement, it could be for 5 years. And that's the lifetime of an artist, 5 years. So I really wanted to teach them the wherewithals about how to conduct themselves, how to be business people. Take the craft of singing and whatever it is, just hold it for a second and educate yourself about longevity in the music industry. That's what was key and very important to me.
And you have an example to give because your longevity is amazing in this business.
Thank you.
55 years, I mean. So
Thank
let's go to the presentation that you have Saturday, 17th of August.
Yes.
At 3 p.m. You will be having a book meet and greet at Clairidge Theater in Montclair, New Jersey.
Right. I am very honored. There is a councilwoman, Gail Cheneyfield, who's hosting this. She has been so wonderful to me. And we are excited about it. We're very excited about it. It's 1 week before the book is released. My co-writer of the book, Kevin Taylor, myself, and the publisher will sit and read from the book. I have a wonderful poem that I read about self-love that I do on my own. There's a visual presentation. And then I like getting questions and answers.
Beautiful.
You know, I like that question. I want to know that people were thinking and people are not afraid and they could ask any question. And I always say to my audiences, there is no question that you can ask me. Ask me anything you want to ask me. And so, yeah, I'm very excited about it. My team here at Double Exposure has been fantastic to me. They have been taking care of me and making sure that I don't do all of what I want to do, and that they keep me solid in doing what I must do. But this has been a lovely, incredible ride for me. This journey with this book has been, and I'm most appreciative to everyone that has been very supportive of me. Very, most appreciative.
Wonderful. And I'm most appreciative of you, of taking this time. We are out of time, unfortunately. I thank you for this conversation. And I give you my best wishes for the release of your book. And let's tell our viewers once again where they can see you on Saturday, August 17 at 3 p.m.
We're going to be at the Clairidge Theater in Montclair. We're there from 3 to 6 o'clock. And I'm inviting everyone to come out and just celebrate with us, because that's what it is. It's going to be a celebration. So I really would appreciate everybody coming out, wherever you're at, and come and celebrate with us. And the book is Before I Let You Go. So come and celebrate with us.
Thank you so much again.
You're a sweetheart. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you and all of your followers and all the people that support you. Please keep doing what you choose to do in life and be happy within your life. God bless you, and I thank you so very much.
Thank you again. And thank you to our viewers. See you next Saturday, 12:30 p.m. My Harlem Portrait. And to see all the other episodes and interviews, go to My Harlem Portraits, Maria G. Cavenaghi on YouTube. Bye-bye.
Bye, darling. Thank you so much. You're a sweetheart. Thank you.
Love you.